This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello wildlife lovers, at Tlalamba here, the beautiful leopardess is still near her carcass from the last few days. My name is TRISHALA and we're very happy to be here. So welcome aboard for your very own live African safari. Tlalamba, the beautiful princess of Djuma Game Reserve, where we are in the Sabi sands, is taking a bit of a break from her meal today. She's relaxing in the shade of a tree while her carcass is still hanging up above us. Hello everyone, my name is TRISHALA, like I said earlier, and I've got BK on camera this wonderful afternoon, and we're hoping that we might see Tlalamba do that beautiful leopard mount up the tree, which would just be incredible. You see that she's still alert, still awake. There's a hyena nearby, so she's got to keep her eye on that carcass. And there's still a little bit of meat left. Now remember guys that this is live and it's interactive, so use that hashtag WildEarth to chat to us. And for any kids out there, use kids questions at wildearth.tv, and we would love to chat to you, answer any of your questions, your comments. I'm sure Tlalamba loves to be on TV too, don't you, Tlalamba? Now she's had this kill in the tree for 3 days now. Do you remember you were with us just a few days ago? And she had actually gotten the kill. And we saw her up in the tree and she was panting heavily because she had just gotten it. And now it's at its tail end.
Good afternoon everyone from a fantastic afternoon at Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. It is great having you with us. My name's Dylan, and what we're doing for you today is we're doing this little stakeout at our blind that we built. Genre and I built it a couple of weeks ago. Literally it consists of some branches and some stones on the edge of this waterhole, and this waterhole in 9 weeks hasn't disappointed us once yet. So sometimes it's just been general game, but other times we've had incredible sightings here, like brown hyena, yellow mongoose, all sorts of amazing things. So I think this afternoon, it was very, very cold this morning, so this afternoon the temperature's picked up nicely, and I think it's just going to be super productive. As you can see, the birds are already having an absolute field day here. This is a big colony of sociable weavers that has just come down to drink. And literally, that's in the past 15 minutes since we've been sitting here. The animals, the birds and that are becoming a lot more relaxed. They're pretty much ignoring the structure now completely. And that's the advantage that we got, that by hiding in here, we screened. It's breaking up our outline completely. So they actually don't even see us as a threat or anything. So this is really, really, really good. And I'm hoping we get some buffalo coming down maybe. But let's see. Let's just bide our time and see what comes down.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we've caught up with a very lazy herd of buffalo. Now, my name is Steve FAULCONBRIDGE, joined by thereon on camera, and we are very excited to have you with us. I hope you are ready for some sensational game viewing, because hopefully we're going to be providing that for you. So over here, our herd of buffalo is just chilling very, very hard. This sort of time of day, in the middle of the day, is normally a time when they've spent a fair amount of time eating, accumulating some grass in the belly. And if you were with us a few days ago, we had a very similar sort of situation where the buffalo had gone and drunk. We went to find them, tracked them away from the watering hole, and you often find them bedding down like this. Saves a lot of energy. the rumination we've spoken about before. Theo, I wonder if you are going to be able to get this bird for me on that tall tree on the opposite side. Can you see it? Oh, it's gone. It's still there. I don't know if you can get it. It's a bit awkward, but it looks like a juvenile African hawk eagle or African harrier hawk that's trying to raid a nest. Very agile, very good at holding onto branches. How cool is that? Very pale in color. Yes, I think it's a molting juvenile. Used to be known as the gymnogene, everybody. They are specialists at climbing on trees, holding on with their wings. They're able to really move their leg around and go in and out of holes looking for cavity nesting birds, squirrels, anything that might be trying to hide away from them. How cool is that? Okay, well, we're going to stay here with these buffalo. Who knows what this gymnogene is going to get up to? Maybe it's going to catch itself a meal.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve with myself, Clive, and Marcel behind the camera today. And like Dylan, we are also spending a bit of time at a watering hole. There's quite a few different animals around here. We've got some wildebeest, we've got some giraffe, there's some zebra, but quite importantly, it looks like this one giraffe might be coming down to drink, which I don't know if a lot of you maybe haven't seen before, is quite an event. You can imagine with such a long neck how hard it is for the giraffe to get down to water level. So they have to spread those front legs really, really wide and get their head all the way down to the water. No, not walking towards the water. Walking a little bit away. So there's quite a big journey of giraffe around here. There's 2 or 3 that have walked off to the left. There's about 3 or 4 on the right hand side as well. And then if we go over to the left of the watering hole, there's a herd of impala, there's some wildebeest, there's another giraffe, there's some zebra. So you can imagine in winter, here winter is not our rainy season, it's our dry season, so we don't get a lot of rain at this time of the year. And with all the water drying up, it's obviously a good place for these animals to be. But we're going to sit here a little bit longer, see if these animals come down to drink, and we'll let you carry on with your safari this afternoon.
Look at this beautiful lilac-breasted roller coming to grace our Tlalamba sighting. It's always lovely to sit with cats or any other animal because so many other things start to emerge and fly off. The rollers, as well as other birds, know exactly when we are with you guys, and that's the exact moment that they decide to fly away. Luckily, this girl here can't fly away, even though when we do track leopards, sometimes it appears that they can fly because they don't leave tracks, or they walk in areas where we can't track well. We often say, oh, they've grown wings and they've flown. And when you see them climb a tree, oh, look at that yawn. You'd think so too. Wow, Mario, you'd like to know how many leopards there are in the Sabi Sands? Well, the Sabi Sands is about 650 kilometers squared. And the leopard density is very, very high in the Sabi Sands. It's one of the highest, actually. So it's about 12 leopards per 100 kilometers squared, which is about 80, between 70 and 80 leopards in the Sabi Sands. Seems like a lot, but I've been here and I can tell you there are so many leopards around, and it's such a pleasure to see them. And we have this lovely girl for now. Okay, well, had a bit of maths practice there with that question. But you know, when you work it out, I never actually worked it out before. I always just thought about that we've had the highest leopard density. About 12 leopards per 100 kilometers squared. When you actually work that out, that's a lot of leopards in the Sabi sands. But also it's a big area. When Raymond was chatting to you guys this morning as well, he spoke about how when he was a young boy and he first saw his leopard, how exciting it was, and how difficult it is to actually see them in other parts of Africa, and how lucky we are in the Sabi sands to be able to see them so frequently. Not just every few months, but, you know, you go a week without a leopard and you think, oh, what's wrong?
A big welcome to a beautiful day here at andBeyond in Ngala. So myself and Owen just wanted to stop at this particular waterhole just to show everyone the different colors, but also look at the reflection of the clouds on the water. And right in the middle of all of this, we have a little pod of hippos. There's 3 hippos that I can currently see out in the distance. But just from my side, so I'm NIKKI here at andBeyond in Ngala, and with me on the camera is Owen. So just heading back to the scene. So earlier on, there was actually quite a few elephants that came down to drink, but then from there on, after they drank, they started moving away. So we were hoping that as we were sitting here, we might have more elephants coming down to drink. It is warming up quite a bit. So early on, as we started driving, it was nice and cool. But then as we got here, it started warming up as the cloud covers were moving. But Penelope, it is such a beautiful scene. I mean, it's hard to even describe it, but you'll see, especially from here all the way down to where the hippos are, it's like quite nice and calm, the water. But then, of course, closer towards us, you might even notice a bit of ripples on the water, or even just slightly away from the hippos. So there's a small breeze that's slowly starting to pick up. Now where that big tree is, right in the middle of the screen, just above beyond the hippos, so the whole herd of elephants came down, they drank there and they started moving away. Now we're sitting here and just hoping maybe there could be a bull that might be trailing this herd that can come down to drink. If not that, maybe another herd of elephants. But I haven't heard anything as of yet. But I'd like to go and just explore some of the other areas and hopefully see if we can find some of these other amazing animals, which I'm going to share with you this afternoon.
Thanks, NIKKI. Well, waterhole-driven drives are quite important, and in the winter, that's what we do. I mean, I went to the water, found the tracks of the buffaloes, and then tracked them. They're not the hardest of animals to track. They leave behind a lot of tracks and a lot of dung as they move. And Theo actually spotted them as we were just moving down this road. Didn't think they would be too far away. But water is the currency of life, everybody. And knowing where the water is can really help you on game drives. Many people will go to the Kruger National Park and sit at the watering holes and just wait. You never know what can materialize. You can be very, very lucky if you have the patience. Here we've got a buffalo bull. He's a big boy. He's one of the dominant guys in the herd. But just down on his ear, he's got someone just behind his ear that's busy feeding. He's on his back now, Theo, sorry. Oh, maybe you can get him. There is an oxpecker, everybody, and what was very exciting, this is a juvenile, so it's hard to tell, but there were 2 yellow-billed oxpeckers a moment ago feeding on this guy, and yellow-billed oxpeckers have been successfully reintroduced into the Kruger National Park from the by the Endangered Wildlife Trust, EWT. The most common are the red-billed and the yellow-billed, which shows a beak that's half yellow, half red. Almost vanished entirely, and it's a very good success story. If you are interested in birds and you spend time with especially buffaloes, just take a moment to have a look. You'll find lots of red-billed oxpeckers, but in amongst the mix you might get, there we go, you can see the yellow bill. Yes, how awesome is that, just behind the horn? That's very special, everybody. That is a conservation success story right there. Matikichok, you want to know if the buffalo numbers are recovering? Well, there was quite a big knock-on effect from the drought for many, many animals. But the buffalo numbers in the Kruger are very, very healthy. Very healthy. If anything, drought reduces numbers naturally. And buffalo numbers definitely did drop quite a bit. They got quite weak, and the lions were just taking them out. But the herds we've been seeing lately have been very, very large. The herd I had 2-3 days ago was in the region of about 200. This one doesn't look nearly as big, but their numbers are good. And with the rains that we've had and the vegetation, buffalo numbers are going to improve this year. But it is a cycle. The wet and dry seasons do come, and the dry, very drought-like seasons often have big effects on certain animals. You'll see buffalo numbers going down in the drought. As their weakness increases, lions hunt them quite well. But animals like wildebeest and zebra actually are in the reverse.
Welcome back again to this beautiful watering hole here on andBeyond Phinda. There are still quite a few animals in the corner, but a lot of the giraffe have gone into the thickets. We can still see 1 or 2 of their heads poking out, but a lot of them have disappeared into the trees, and they've probably come down and already had a drink, and now they're just using these trees obviously to find food. I would say that's what's going on here. So none of the animals have actually come down to drink here. Seems like they're all just kind of staying close to the area. I don't know if you can see on the water or maybe even hear that it's actually quite windy out here today. It wasn't this morning, it's just randomly come up this afternoon. Hi Rosalind, you're asking how much these giraffe will drink at a time. So as I say, it doesn't look like they are coming down now. I think they've probably already drank today, and in a day they can drink up to about between 35 and 40 liters of water. So it's a lot, not as much as an elephant, but it's still a lot of water. But they are quite careful when they go down and drink, because obviously with such long necks and having to spread their legs so much to get down to the water, that obviously leaves them as quite a threat, or at a bit of a disadvantage, not being able to get away quickly. So they're quite nervous when they come down to drink. Those trees that are all along that edge there, I see there's a few species of tree called a Vakelia, or what's known as a fever tree. And that's very good food for these giraffe. There must be some other good nutritious trees in that little clump as well, which they're after. But lots of food there for them.
And we've also got a giraffe. Oh, a very, very famous, very dark giraffe. We don't have a name for him yet. I mean, I'd like you to all be involved in helping us to name this animal. We just call him Tall, Dark and Handsome. And he's busy feeding on a tree wisteria. It's wonderful to have these huge animals so close to us. Love it. I don't know if he's had a drink yet. We're not so far from Leopard Dam. Hello everyone, my name is Michael Anderson and behind the camera is Gert. As always, we are here at Prideland's Eco Training Conservancy and we are going to be spending some time around here. We heard reports during the middle of the day that maybe some African wild dogs or painted dogs came onto Pridelands to drink at a small waterhole nearby here. So we're actually looking around to see if we can find any tracks or signs of them, which would be pretty awesome. Anushka's asking if giraffes are the only animals that don't dust bathe. Well, Anushka, that's a good question, and I can't say that I can answer that question in totality. I'm sure there are quite a few animals that don't dust bathe, but certainly it would be very, very difficult for a giraffe to dust bathe because, of course, they've got that super long neck, and they're not able to get down easily and roll around like zebras do, and wildebeest and elephants have trunks to throw dust on themselves. So this giraffe, I'm sure, doesn't dust bathe. It's just very, very uncomfortable. There's probably other animals that also don't do it, but definitely this giraffes don't. It's a good question, Anushka. Maybe you can help us with that one. If you ever see another animal that doesn't dust bathe, then you can help us with that. So as you can see, old Tall, Dark and Handsome has decided to go and hide behind some bushes and be very shy of the camera. If I looked that good, I wouldn't be as shy as he was. Now, what we're like, as I said before, we've seen wild dog, or we heard tracks of wild dogs were in the area, so we're going to try and see if we can stick around here to see if we can find them. Right, welcome back everyone. I'm sure you were still watching me and wondered why I was so quiet. We were just going into an ad break on SABC. So as you can see here, the giraffe is still walking slowly towards this drainage line. I'm hoping that he might just turn towards us. No, he's going to turn away. That means that he's probably going to head to better feeding areas. If he came towards us, he'd be heading towards Leopard Dam and maybe have a drink. Now you can see his beautiful dark coloration. Look how dark he is. Super, super strangely dark color on this giraffe. They're not usually this dark. As we've discussed before, it might be. I'm going to actually try and move us a bit forward just to try and follow this giraffe a bit. Could be to do with his age. Could be to do with testosterone levels. No, not really sure why, but certainly he's very, very beautiful.
Right, just as Mike has got a big dark giraffe, this one trailing behind this little group is also quite dark. Probably not, I can't see the one that Mike had, but probably not as dark as that one. But definitely, as you were saying, definitely linked with the age, and a lot of the time it's actually looks like that male's going right up to the female and possibly smelling just to check if she's an estrus or anything. Let's see what he does, yeah? So there's a young male just behind him that is also showing a lot of interest, which is strange. He's still very young, probably in the region of maybe 2 or 3 years old, so definitely not sexually active yet. But maybe he's learning a bit, you know, maybe he's, just learning. Wow, Angie, that is a very good question. I don't know the size, but what they do have for being able to pump that blood up and down the long neck is actually 3 hearts. I think 2 of them, if I remember right, are called lesser hearts, and then there's one like primary heart. But that is what helps them to be able to pump the blood up and down that long neck. Such incredible animals. Look at that. Oh, Grace, that is another good question. A big male giraffe, like that one on the left, is probably around a ton. I think if I remember more, it is extremely. I think if I had to go and stand next to him, I would probably be as long, maybe not even as long as his back leg. So that just shows you how tall they really are. I don't know if you've ever seen one in real life, Grace, but they are really, really big animals. We are going to sit with these giraffe a little bit more and see what they get up to this afternoon.
Tlalamba is up and about. She's got a very full belly. She's got her eyes on her prize up in that tree. Look at her move. Let's just watch her quietly. She's looking at the hyena now. There's a hyena in the bushes behind her there. You can see that she's snarling every now and then. There's not much meat left in her kill, but she'll still want to defend it. Eyes again on the kill. I really hope that she climbs this tree for us. Oh, we may be in luck. Look at that look. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now she's just showing us that we're all part of the animal kingdom. We all have to eat. Therefore, we all have to do our business like Tlalamba is showing us. Will she go up? Oh, our girl wants to go up on the side that we can't see her. Well, that's the game drive radio going. Madison, you'd like to know, how do leopards know when there's danger? They use their very good sense of smell. They use their ears. And they use their eyes. Look at that. What a gorgeous girl. They have very good senses. Because they live out in the bush and they always have to defend themselves, those senses get better and better and better. Much better than ours, especially their eyesight. They can see in very low light. You know how you and I, we have to have some light to see properly. If you want to go into the kitchen at night and you want to go into your parents' room, you've got to put the light on. Otherwise, you won't be able to see. Tlalamba doesn't need the light on. She needs very little light in order to see and know where she's going. Aaron, you'd like to know how do we stay safe near the leopard? Listen to her crunch. Look at this, look at this. Here she comes. The hyena, it looks like a hyena named June. Sorry, Aaron, I got distracted by the crunching and the hyena coming. We stay safe by, firstly, keeping a good distance, but also our leopards are very used to vehicles. So they know that the vehicles are not a problem. In fact, Thandi, Tlalamba's mother, came Well done, girl. You got some. And off it goes with a leg. They sometimes use the vehicles. Sometimes they'll go underneath the vehicles. Sometimes they'll use the vehicles for shade. Basically, we're used to them and they're used to us, and we look out for any signs of them being uncomfortable, because animals don't just suddenly attack you. There are a lot of stages that they have to go through. And it's important to understand that, because you don't have to be afraid unless you see these signs. If she was upset with us, she'd start hissing at us, snarling at us, and that tail will get a bit stiff and go from side to side very, very quickly. I hope you were able to hear the difference between the hyena crunching on the bone and the leopard crunching on the bone. Hopefully we'll get another opportunity to listen to it, because if you can hear, the hyena's very strong, the leopard's just a little stronger. Well, I think she's going to get another piece very, very soon.
Little friends that we've had at this dam pretty much every time we've been down here. It's a blacksmith lapwing. Oh, and we got a giraffe passing by directly behind it. You see the giraffe popping out there. We're going to go on to the giraffe, but I'll just tell you about the lapwing while it's in my mind there. So you get a lot of birds that have benefited by human expansion. In fact, a lot of species. And these little blacksmith lapwings that we're looking at, and you'll see a lot more of them around this dam over the coming weeks, that is one of those species, as is more sports fields, more sewage farms, farm dams, these kind of things. These birds have really expanded their range dramatically over the past 50, 60 years. This giraffe might come down and drink just now. It's actually been feeding a little bit further away in the background. But like I said, the important thing is we'll just sit nice and quietly here. What I haven't seen, and it's very interesting, and I'm liking it more and more by the minute, is the fact that Sheldon, the shelduck, this pair of shelducks that we've been following, the male's normally sitting at the dam by this time, he isn't around. And so maybe we are right in terms of thinking that he'll only start sitting near the nest doing guard duty once that female starts incubating. So if he's not around today and tomorrow, then I think he's actually Shelly, the female, is actually sitting on eggs incubating, which will be really, really, really exciting for us. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I think that's a female. Looks like a cow giraffe. And please don't forget, if you have any questions, send them through. Don't be shy. Whatever it is about nature, of course. I can't help you with many other things, but certainly send your questions about what we're seeing and what our colleagues are seeing through, and we'll do our best to get you good answers for those. Yeah, I think that giraffe's probably going to move across further to our left, and then he'll come down and drink a little bit later, so we'll just bide our time here. And yeah, it'll be interesting, because this giraffe is definitely, it's very aware of us, but it could also be the Land Rover. So they're very used to us sitting in this blind and this blind, but the Land Rover is parked at the back here, and that giraffe actually appears to be looking past us, yeah. And again, they're so used to vehicles. It would draw its attention, and any animal that doesn't take time to observe things gets eaten. That's the thing. So it's when you see a giraffe staring or an antelope staring, it doesn't mean that, they're going to run away from you. It's because you're disturbing them. It's just they're doing what they do normally.
Hello everybody. Well, there's someone who stares more than a giraffe. There's a buffalo. They have got that look sometimes as if you owe them money. But right now, most of them are quite relaxed. I think they've been bedded down for quite some time. We're going to be going out of the ad break shortly, so we'll be right back with you. Hello and welcome back live to Djuma Private Game Reserve once again, everyone. We're still with our buffalo, who are starting to get a little bit more active. This fellow on the ground, though, he's still in the throes of enormous amounts of chewing the cud, flicking his ears. The flies are a real problem. I suppose when you get to that sort of size and age, you just start to accept it for what it is. Now, the rumination, which we've discussed before, is basically just chewing and chewing. It's a very automatic response, and the animal's brain actually lowers down to that of a sleeping animal, although they are not properly sleeping. Their brain capacity is down, far way down, so they don't actually physically sleep like you or I would. Ruminating is an ability to help them cope with the stresses of life, I suppose. Martin, you want to know what the temperature is? Well, an hour ago it was about 22 degrees Celsius, 71 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a really nice winter's day, actually. It's probably one of the warmest days of the season. It was overcast this morning, and I am almost certain there's going to be a little bit of wind blowing all the cloud away, and tomorrow morning is going to be fresh, clear skies and a little bit chilly. Okay, so the rest of the herd is slowly starting to move off. They've been bedding down for the day. It's time to get up and go get some food.
So she is eating. If you are sensitive, you might want to look away, but listen if you can. That's always a good way to learn still experience our lovely sighting here of Tlalamba. Look at her strong teeth. Being a cat, she'd have 30 teeth. Very strong, sharp carnassials, which are modified teeth that she's using now to slice meat and crunch, try to crack the smaller bones. Just enjoy and listen. Hi, Alex. You'd like to know if a leopard would ever kill for sport or for fun. Leopards are known to make multiple kills and store them away in trees. So it has been seen that a leopard would make a kill, store it in this tree, and then make a kill later in the afternoon if the opportunity presents itself, and then put it in another tree. But that food will not go to waste. Nothing goes to waste out here in the bush. If this leopard decides, it's too full, and it doesn't want to eat the other kill that it has, if it has another one, then it would be very, very difficult for it to defend that other kill against another leopard, and another leopard can come along and steal that kill, or the other kill will fall to the ground and a hyena will get it. So it never ever goes to waste. But then again, that's not killing for sport. That's still killing for potentially eating it. Wild animals are used to feast and famine, so there'll be a week or 2 weeks where where they won't eat at all, and other times where they have so much meat around them, so they're used to gorging themselves and then starving a little bit. H, you'd like to know, how does she digest all those bones that she's eating? She will not actually eat much bone at all. She might eat bones that are very thin. Like in a bird, she may eat the bones of a bird. These Impala's bones, she's very unlikely to actually eat much of them. Thin, skinny bones, yes, but she won't be able to digest them. If you look at leopard scat, you might get a little bit of bone chip here and there, but she's not after the bone, she's after the meat. So you'll hear her crunching, but she's trying to get as much meat off the bone as possible. She's not actually going after the bone. A hyena, on the other hand, a hyena is going after the bone. And that's why they can eat what's left that a leopard can't. And they have very strongest, or one of the strongest digestive juices in the hyena. African, well, you'd like to know who has the strongest teeth. The hyena has the stronger teeth from the two. The leopard and the hyena, without a doubt. Hyena has a very, very strong bite, has a heavy skull, strong jaws, and the teeth are actually conical shaped, so they're a little bit more rounded than a leopard's. So hyena definitely has the stronger of the two. Now this hyena that we've just seen, I've got a good look at its spot pattern, so we're going to confirm who it is in a bit, but for now, let me have a look.
So we went from having one giraffe in sight just now. There's at least 5 giraffe now. Okay, you can't see them all in frame. There's 3 there, then there's one through the bushes that has just moved out of sight, and there's one far, far, far over to our left. There comes number 4, he's just popping out there. Just see him sticking out. Sina has ever asked if I've ever seen giraffe fight before. Absolutely. The males fight a lot, and they've got a very, very unique way of fighting. And they actually stand side onto each other, and they use their necks and their heads. They swing their necks and they use their heads as battering rams, and they actually try to hit each other as hard as they can. And there are plenty of recorded instances of males actually having knocked opponents unconscious, and in fact on 1 or 2 memorable occasions lions have even capitalized on that and actually grabbed the one that's been knocked down before. But normally the fights don't escalate to that degree, and your larger males with the heavier, stronger heads and necks tend to dominate the smaller ones. And that leads on to another interesting point there, is that the bones in the giraffe's head, actually in the males, continue to grow throughout its life. And what that means is that as the giraffe starts getting older and older and older, that head gets heavier and heavier, so they can actually, apply more force, when they're fighting. And that's pretty cool if you think about it. What a strategy. Imagine our heads grew. Well, some people's heads do grow throughout their whole life. But that's for a different discussion. Yeah, this is a female. She's probably going to come down and drink now. She's not just interested in us. She's actually going to be drinking in the next couple of minutes.
Oh, this poor creature here is now a meal for our Tlalamba. Now, talking about water, Tlalamba will get the majority of her moisture requirements from the juices within this animal. So she's not actually fully, or she is water independent technically, but she still will drink as much as she can. But she can survive on just drinking the liquids inside an animal. Now this hyena, at first I thought it was our clan female June, but it appears that it is not. A bit of a mystery, and I'm not sure who it is, but they're getting lucky this afternoon. Interesting. So I first thought that it looked a little bit like June. I saw the shape of the ear just a bit. And then looking at the spots when I got a good look at this hyena, it's definitely not. Michael Fleetwood, you say that this is not part of the Djuma clan. This is not a Djuma clan hyena. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'd love to know who it is and where they're from, and whether they are making their way into the clan or not. I find it surprising that none of our clan members are here. Oh, there goes some fur. Oh, look at that. My favorite bit of this is the face that she makes when she's done cleaning the fur. It's as if she enjoyed one of my jokes. Face? Salamba is now cleaning her trophy, or her prize. See, she's pulling fur off. Remember, again, if you're sensitive, you might want to look away at this point. You can kind of see she's doing a very good job of it. There we go. That face she makes when she's got fur stuck in her teeth and all the sticky bits by her nose, her gums. This is so interesting. This is the type of thing that you may not see if you manage to see a leopard when you're out on safari. But here we are live with you guys, and you get to see these really unique, intricate behaviors of all the animals that we get to show you. Plus you get to ask questions and get them answered by us using that hashtag WildEarth. How awesome is that? Bringing the bush to your very own house, comfort of your lounge. Now our hyena has not come back just yet. There's some fur falling, but that is not what the hyena is after. So after looking at the spot pattern, and one of our very regular viewers, Michael Fleetwood, was very good with hyena identification. He also says that he's not sure who this hyena is, and we think it's not part of the Djuma clan. Like him, if you continue to watch and watch, you too will get so familiar with these animals that you will even be able to help us. last bits left. That's why she's cleaning off the fur so she can get a bit of skin in and finish up this carcass. This might be the last afternoon we get with her.
Yeah, so these giraffe are about to drink. That big one on the left is an adult female. The next one to the right is a younger male. And then another young female. And an adult female. Look at that. Oh my word. Let's see if we can get nice and close on that one for you. Incredible the way they bend their legs like it. It looks like so awkward and so ungainly, and yet it works. I've always thought if you're an animal out in these environments where it gets incredibly hot in the summer and super dry and dusty in the winter, it must be the best thing in the world to get down to a dam like this and drink this super cold, delicious water, this delicious algae-filled water with kills of spotted hyenas that have been floating around in it. For those of you who weren't with us a week ago, spotted hyenas killed a kudu in the waterhole. Greg has asked, how long do giraffes' necks get? Well, the males, the adult males get to over 5.5 meters in height. Okay, so this male here that's now on the far left-hand side of the frame, he's still a youngster. He's very, very young. He's only just getting to the height of these adult females, and they 4 meters plus, 4.2 meters plus, and the neck is probably at least, let's say, a third of the height of the animal, maybe not quite a third of the length of the animal. They're going to come back now. We've actually just got a big flock of birds that came in over our heads and just made a bit of a noise. Again, this is typical of animals coming down to a waterhole. Where our colleagues are, okay, we don't have crocodiles here, but you've got other predators. But where our colleagues are, if you get a herd of impala or whatever, or Ngala coming down to water, you'll see how nervous they are. And not just for land-based predators, but things like crocodiles in the water. So these giraffe are in the same boat, except they're not worried about crocodiles. It's lions and things like that.
Indeed, thanks, Dylan. Well, there are crocodiles about, but we've not caught up with crocodiles. We've found a herd of elephants, and they themselves are slowly heading north on the road at the moment, but straight towards one of our favourite watering holes called the Buffelshoek. It's a wonderfully relaxed herd of elephants, and we are in a little bit of a traffic jam this afternoon. There is no way through, but there is no way really to go. We're just going to stay right behind them. Oh, Jacob, you wanted elephants. Here they are for you, sir. A wonderful herd. There must be more than 20, 25 individuals here. And by the way that they're moving, you can tell they're going to go and have a drink. So the buffalo spend time feeding and then sitting down and ruminating. The elephants, being a very different digestive system, having a different digestive system, don't have that luxury. So they're basically feeding all day long. Moving and feeding, moving and feeding. They'll have bouts of rest where they stop and have a toilet break, as you can see. A very dark urine there, drinking lots of tannin at the moment. In the road, not too bothered, everybody. Some very fresh elephant dung there. I reckon we'd be able to follow these elephants by the sign of the dung. There is organic recycling, nutrient recycling in the making, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move up quickly, Theo. Debbie, elephants, like many, many trees, in the summer months they'll feed on acacias. They'll feed on acacias throughout the year if they can get them. Knob thorns are very, very highly favoured. Marula bark as well is highly favoured by elephants. Torchwoods, the balanites, elephants really do enjoy their leaves. Anything that produces any fruit is also well eaten. But this time of year, the bush willows get smashed by elephants that are looking for the bark. How's this gap over here, Theo? Right there. Looking for the bark and the roots. So the trees have lots of medicinal value that the elephants are able to access, and there's still a bit of grass at the moment that they're feeding on, but a majority of the trees are getting pushed over for the roots, gouged for the bark, and it is really quite a wonderful process of bush engineering, or changing the structure of the vegetation. It is what the elephants have designed to do. They create open habitat, they damage trees, they open the landscape, they cover areas as well, and their role in the environment is absolutely essential. They're known as keystone species, and without them, the system would not be the same. Many, many animals rely on them for survival. We will be seeing you tomorrow, same time, place, everybody. Until then, goodbye. Hello everybody, welcome to the normal show. The top of the hour, it is time once again, of course, to say hello. How are we doing? My name is Steve, joined by Theo on camera, and you have the opportunity once again, ladies and gentlemen, to ask your questions and comments. Send them through to #WildEarth on Twitter, or on the YouTube chat stream, or on Twitch. We're going to catch up with our elephants. Do you like that, Theo? Going to catch up with the elephants. They're going straight to Buffelshoek. So let's actually just move on ahead, shall we, Theo, and catch up with them. I'm sure they're going to go and drink, and we want to be there for that. They are very relaxed. Very, very relaxed. And so we're going to head up straight up the road here, find a nice, comfortable spot to have a snack, and let the elephants come down and drink.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
Isn't that the best way to spend a Saturday? A snack, some elephants. What a tortured life we lead. Ouch, yeah. Such few options. Do we watch the elephant? Do we eat our snack? Of course, we are incredibly fortunate. Unbelievably so. It's nice to have a reminder every now and then. This girl is tucking in. Oh, what have you got there? Got to be careful with those tiny little horns of this little male. Terry, you'd like to know why would she get the fur off instead of just going for the meat? They wouldn't kind of fur or take all the fur out and then eat the meat. She'd take off the fur at the little part where she'd like to bite and get in. Then she'd eat a whole lot of meat. Which is at the stage that she's in now. She's eaten most of the meat, and now she's looking for anything else she can get. And most of what else she can get would be right very close to the skin. So she's trying to take off the fur so she can get those bits that are close to the skin, little bits of meat that are still attached to the skin and the sinew that she wouldn't want to eat the fur off. So she wouldn't just go about defurring the whole thing and then eating it. She's She's only going to take the fur out of places that she wants to get into, to eat or to bite into. Oh, look at that tongue action. Oh, really, really nice look at this. I would love to see, and I will warn you before, if she manages somehow to get into the brain, because that's very nutritious. But with her teeth, she might not be able to, but because it's a youngster, maybe she will.
Welcome back again, everyone. And while we were other animals at the water, someone came out and found. So for a change, we didn't have to find them ourselves. We actually just relied on someone else. Now this is Ngala Pride. This is just two of the young males of Ngala Pride. Oh, I lie. Three of the little young Ngala Pride males. And the rest of the pride is actually further down into these trees, down in this little drainage line. And we had a very, very brief view of them, but we couldn't see them well at all. And then these three little youngsters were lying right out in the open. How nice of them. You can see they've still chosen a little patch of shade, and in this little thicket of trees, it's very sheltered from this wind that we're having today. So it's a really great spot for them. Now we haven't really been able to see how full, or if they're full or hungry. So I don't know. It's hard to tell if you can't see if they've eaten recently or not. It's hard to tell when they're going to become active. Often if they've got very full fat bellies, they could be here for a while. Obviously if they're skinny, they could end up walking quite early, especially on a cool day like this, and possibly hunting. So I'm going to spend a bit more time here, and let's see what happens with these lions.
Drive, fantastic, everybody. Our elephants have come down to drink, so I'm going to keep quiet and allow you to just soak in this scene. going to stay right here. We send you over to Kalamba.
Guys, if you are sensitive, I suggest that this is the time to look away. Maybe even turn off the sound briefly as I describe what I just saw. Kalamba managed to remove the horn from this young impala, chewed on it, and then swallowed it. That is very interesting, and that is going to be difficult to pass, my girl. When I saw that happening, that was my first thought. Wowza. So if we find that scat around, we know where it's from and exactly how old it is. She looks like she's actually going to make her way into the brain case if she hasn't already. Now, brain can be very, very nutritious, as I said. Lots of fatty acids, omega-3 especially, lots of fat in general, lots of antioxidants. Our hyena has come along. Whoops! I actually thought Rebecca was making a mistake when she said your name. Whoops, you'd like to know if leopards have a favorite tree that they get up into. I've found that most times that leopards have a kill, they put it up into a marula. It's a nice big tall tree. The trunk has a lot of footholds, lots of little nicks for them to go up. And you hardly see a leopard with a kill in a tambuti, but here we have that exact example. She is up in this tambuti. See, a tambuti has a very straight and without nooks branch, central main trunk, so it can be difficult for a leopard to get up it. But if you look closely, you can see that this tambuti seems to have Senegalia berkemia, black monkey thorn, branch or trunk growing right next to it. Can you see that? And that's why she actually went up on the other side when we were trying to get her actually climbing. That she's been using that as a way to get up into this tambuti. I actually want to just, if we could tear you away from the scene very quickly. In front of me, there's a typical example of a tambuti. Just see there, very, very straight trunk. And that can be difficult because there's no place for grip. But you can see that there's this kind of crinkly skin, reptile-like skin almost. But the first kind of area where you could hold on or put your foot in is right at the top. Maybe 3 meters up it. So you'll find very few leopards put their kills into tambutis. But here, our huntress has managed to do just that with the assistance of a close-by tree. Okay, you can see that she's definitely gotten in there. lots of nutrition to be found in the strangest places. And she knows it. Well, I am going to actually leave here and go and fetch Raymond. Oh, yes. Even she opened her eyes and looked at us. That. And then hopefully we can come back this side.
So these giraffe finally came down and had a good drink of water. There's still one or two other ones in the background. Gamboling is the word. Yeah, this one's going to drink again now. She's right on the edge of the water, but she wants the drink. She might move off with the other ones. Quite a light coloured giraffe, that one, compared to some of these others that are here. Some of them are quite dark. You tend to find that this is a female, but you tend to find that the older males become very, very, very dark, almost to the point that they, I don't want to say black, but very, very, very dark brown. And there, you can have a look at that other ones just moving across to the others. You can still see the dead kudu from the spotted hyena kill on the edge of the water. And interestingly, we actually had a gemsbuck that walked right up to it and was sniffing inside what's left of the rib cage and along the spine over there. Like literally, it physically walked up and put its nose right against it and was sniffing it. I was actually wondering if it was going to start nibbling on that carcass. So a lot of animals will pick up bones, called osteophagy. That's for extra calcium, potassium in the diet. But then you also get things that'll gnaw on bones, like porcupines, as an example. And that's for obviously keeping their teeth in check because they grow so quickly, and for calcium intake for quill production. And then still others, even things like warthogs, that most of us think of as herbivores, but they'll actually feed on carcasses. So you'll get a warthog even on an old kudu carcass like that'll come and gnaw on it. I mean, as pigs do. We had a big sable bull that popped down briefly just now as well, but he came in for a very, very quick drink, and then he moved out again. Ooh. Yeah, so I think we're going to head over to TRISHALA, but just so you're warned, there's some pretty gruesome stuff going on there. It's not for sensitive viewers, but it is part of nature. So those of you who want to link over and enjoy it.
Absolutely, Dylan. Absolutely. Kalamba has looked like she was giving this animal CPR. And she has now eaten the top jaw. She looked like she was giving it a kiss. I have not seen a leopard tuck in this much. Kalamba, girl. I mean, what can I say? The eyes are filled with good sugars. The brain with all those fats. These are important things for her to eat. But you don't often get to see it. There we go, some of that thinner bone. I must say that she's putting my belief of leopards not eating horns and not eating this much bone. She's totally debunking that. As if you watch right now, she swallowed that horn. She's been eating so much of that facial bone, which is thinner than any of the leg bones or spine, but still far more than I had expected. She's giving us another biology lesson. She and Fika, the hyena, gave us a biology lesson about a year back with the Ngala female, and now Tlalamba is at it again. She's very strong. Her teeth and jaw very, very strong. Philip, you'd like to know if the horn can be digested and if it has any nutritional value. It doesn't have, well, firstly, it can't be digested, and it doesn't have much nutritional value at all. There are a few capillaries and arteries in it because it is bone. But if I show you here, I have a mature impala horn. If I show you here, here's your keratin layer. See this? There. Here's your bone. Here's kind of an extension of the sinus inside there. Yes, there is an extension of the sinus there. Sinus is just bone that has big spaces in them for blood, and that's through there. And this here is a keratinized epidermis, so an outside that has been keratinized. Keratin, remember that word, our hair, our nails. And none of this can be digested except for some nutrient value, perhaps from the little blood vessels, little bits of blood, and maybe some collagen from the actual layers there. But that is about it, and it's gonna come out the way it went in. Well, maybe a little less appealing in terms of aesthetics. And oh wait, where did that other horn go? It's still there. Okay. Looks like she would have. Oh, she hasn't taken that upper dental plate that impalas have. It doesn't look like it. Grey, go away, bud. Just telling us how it feels about the sighting. Ugh. But like I said, important for her. Not just from a nutritional perspective, from an experimental perspective. She needs to know that, maybe the horn is not the best thing to take. Just see bits of that eye socket there on the left. Tlalamba. Bet Joe, you say this bird is positively disgusted, as I'm sure some of you are as well. But like Dylan said to you, part of nature, and you know, if something's gonna die, why not make the best of it? And like I said, nothing in the bush goes to waste. And she's definitely showing us that. Well done, my girl. I'm impressed with your digestion, your digestive tract. I'm impressed by your jaws and impressed by your teeth.
I just heard how TRISHALA was quite impressed with that leopard in terms of all those different features. Now, one thing that we definitely impressed with is how well these lions could hide away from us. Now, the whole afternoon we were looking for these lions, and they weren't even 20 meters off the road from where they're lying down now. And we basically drove past this area like twice, didn't see any tracks on the road, couldn't figure out like where did these lions just disappear to. And as we decided to do this road one more time, they decided to stand up and start moving, but so well hidden that we could not spot them. It was pretty hilarious because as we were driving around, we probably were covering an area as big as 10 square kilometers. in search of them and could not see any tracks moving out. But eventually, from where they were this morning in the river, they decided to move up in a bit of a northerly direction. And right where we see all of these right there, so see that one right there? Now one of the young cubs have just gone and lied down in the grass next to that one. So we're actually hoping that pretty soon they might all start moving out. It is a beautiful afternoon. There's a lot of golden colors at the moment, and it'd be so nice if this pride moves out with that sun setting in the back. But I can imagine for them being in this area for the last 2 days, they must start getting quite itchy and wanting to start moving as well. I won't even be amazed now, from where we're sitting towards where the lions are is the direction of the wind. So the wind's blowing from a north into a southerly direction, from north towards south. And if they decide to get up, the chances are they either might move with the wind or along with the wind. Pretty much in this general direction, so from where we're viewing them towards us now. But how well hidden? I mean, even if we zoom it out a little bit from here, look at them. There's a whole pride, of nearly 10 lions in this little screen that we're watching now. And how many of them can you actually see? That's how well hidden they are.
So I'm very pleased that Sheldon has finally made an appearance. And the fact that we can't be certain, but the fact that he hasn't been here the whole afternoon, that we've been here. When we finished up with the meerkats, I swung past you as well this morning, and he wasn't here. So he was either at one of our other dams, or he's sitting up at the nest site incubating. But this is very, very exciting. But while we're talking about nest sites and underground and shell ducks and that, I've got a little diagram that I've done over here. That I'd just like to show you very, very quickly, and I'll try to hold it still so you can all see. But this is quite important. How's that distance? And this is quite important, and it pertains, just bear with me for 1 second, it pertains to the nesting sites over here. So this is data that we got from Wendy Paneno, our pangolin researcher, is just finishing up her PhD on pangolins. She's been working on it for over 4.5 years now, almost 5 years now. She's got incredible data. We've been talking about how important these burrows are in terms of thermoregulation for species using them. And what you've got over here is you've got two colors. You've got this red in the middle, and then you've got this like purplish pink, whatever color that is, on the outside. And what this just details, these are the temperatures on the left-hand side here. So it's 0 degrees, 20, 40, and 60 in centigrade. And then the months of the year. So it goes through from May all the way through December, and then back to May, June on the other end over there. And the pink, this light color here on either end, is what we call the globe temperature, the black globe temperature. Okay? And then the red, this middle part, is the temperature inside burrows. Now, what a black globe temperature is, it's actually, when you take a normal thermometer, it's just measuring air temperature. Okay, that's measuring air temperature. A black globe measures your air temperature combined with radiation and the effect of wind. And that's giving you the actual temperature that animals will be exposed to in their environment. Okay, so your black globe temperatures can be very, very, very different to normal temperature. And how this relates to burrows, if you look at the amplitude of your globe temperatures, okay, running through here from the winter months through to the summer months, peaking, it's going over 50 degrees there on quite a bit, okay, and then it actually drops below zero on occasions as well. Inside the burrows, okay, and remember this is the temperature. We're not using a black globe inside the burrows, we're just using a normal thermometer, but it's replicating a black globe temperature anyway because it's out of the wind and it's not getting solar radiation. So you can compare them very, very nicely. But look how that beautiful lag there, and there's very, very little difference compared to this huge amplitude in temperature on the black globe. So that just shows how important these burrows are. And this is one reason why Sheldon and Shelley shell ducks, they can actually be nesting in the middle of winter because they got those eggs downstairs in a burrow. Oh, Mickey's asked a great question there, and I don't know if I've got a good answer for the question. The question is, how does the duck know if that burrow is in use or not? Oh, by the way, that's a shell duck. That's my diagram of a shell duck there. There's a shell duck, there's a pangolin and an aardvark. So how do the ducks know? I guess they would go there, probably ferret around. If there's noise or anything inside the burrow, they'd know, okay, well, it's probably occupied. But otherwise, they'd just go down and check it out. It's pretty cool, though. But anyway, so that's the importance of burrows. So next time we go past burrows, whether we're looking at these little meerkat burrows or aardvark burrows, porcupines, anything like that, spring ears like the shelbies are using, just think how important these burrows are for animals living in these environments, and just what a wonderful way it is to actually escape these huge extremes of environmental temperatures that they could be exposed to were they to nest out in the open. And if we link that to things like sociable weaver nests, these massive weaver nests that we see in the trees, just think of that in many ways is replicating what burrows do underground. In other words, these birds build these massive nests, all the entrances are at the bottom, it's these small nesting chambers at the bottom, and you've got this huge, beautiful insulatory dome right above the nest and that. So temperature extremes in these environments are, well, pretty much any environment, are often the thing that will prevent things or limit what organisms can and can't do. There's an optimal range of temperature for any species to function at, whether it's for daily feeding or nesting or whatever it is. And if you can find a sheltered spot that helps ameliorate those extremes of temperature, then you are on the money.
Thanks, Dylan. Yes, our temperature in nature and energy, it's all very delicate balance. Our elephants, after drinking some water, have moved off slowly to feed. What's very interesting is that they chased a herd of impala, and the herd of impala slowly came down to the water. They were very skittish, and then one of them ran off, and we've spoken about that rocking horse gait that impala do, and they do that really weird run. They do that like popping from front legs to the back legs. And normally when you see that behavior, you can almost be certain, Theo, this one's about across the road if you want him, you can almost be certain that there's some form of a predator, namely wild dog or possibly cheetah around. So we're investigating it because for about 5 minutes the whole herd started doing that. But I think they started doing it because of one youngster who just got a bit carried away. And the reason they do that rocking horse gait, we call it, is to advertise to any predators that they are fit, their legs are strong, don't try and catch me. And that's why everyone else starts doing it. You know that sort of a story when someone says, if you're going to run, just make sure you're faster than me. That's all. I don't have to be faster than everybody, just faster than the slowest person. Not to lose. And that's exactly the story in nature with impala trying to run away. Oh, there's a dust bathing from predators is who's the fittest. Hello, Tammy. Some people have the rationale that elephants can communicate over 25 kilometers. I don't know how they work this out. Obviously, there's lots of science that gets into it. The elephant's able to communicate at what we call infrasound, which is a very low frequency. It's about 5 hertz, and we normally hear at close to 20, so 18 to 20 hertz. So it's at a very low wave frequency that can carry quite far, and possibly through the ground, and they possibly pick it up through their feet. It's not 100% certain, but behavioral changes in elephants have been identified from distance. There's no other way of it being done without them having communicated. Okay, well, our herd has moved off all through the thickets now. I've got this one busy dust bathing. And off it goes. So we're going to move on a little bit. All of our elephants seem to have abandoned us. We had them all over the place a moment ago, but that is what happens after they drink. After they drink, they slowly move off into the bushes to go and feed some more. It's a process that takes all day.
Alright, welcome back everyone. And quite an exciting little update we've got here is the two small little youngsters of this Ngala Pride have come out as well. Now, if I remember right, this is only the second time, I think, that I've seen these little youngsters, and look at them, they are tiny. The rest of the pride was a little bit further down into the drainage line, so a couple of them have moved out. They were actually the first ones to come out, these little youngsters. Obviously starting to get a bit curious and brave. Listen to these little noises they're making. Oh, it's very soft little noises, but they're fighting with one of those young males that we were watching just now. I love how the mother's trying to clean it and that little cub is just not interested at all. All it wants to do is play with one of the brothers. Whoa. Watch this. Okay, so the mother is the one on the right, and she's getting a little bit angry with the young male that they're playing with. She keeps like growling at him. I'm going to stop talking just so you can listen. Oh, now she stopped. Typical, as soon as I start saying listen, they stop doing it. Oh, look at this little curious, there's a very curious little cub coming towards us. Raynon, you're saying what beautiful bundles of fluff, and I agree completely. It's incredible how curious this little youngster is closest to us. He's probably about 5 meters away from the vehicle. Just so curious. You know, they're still young, so they haven't seen too many vehicles in their lifetime yet. So they're still extremely curious of us. That was amazing how close he came. You might be able to see the other little youngster just play fighting with one of the older ones. There, look, the mother's like hissing at him. Oh, it just turned into a big yawn. Sometimes you just see things where it's actually just not worth me talking. It's just worth watching and listening to the little sounds of these cubs. Oh, you see that? You see how she almost went for that little young male just to chase him away and make sure that he knows who's the boss. And to stay away from her little cubs. And now the two cubs have just resulted in playing with each other. No more playing with the older sub-adults. Rather just play with each other. It's safer. Mom doesn't get angry. Oh, watch, now they're going to come closer again. Getting curious. We've seen it with the Mountain Pride as well, for those of you who have watched a lot. We've seen it with those 5 Mountain Pride youngsters, just how playful they always are. And it looks like these two are no different. But it's really special that it's only I'm sure it's the second time that I've seen them. Uh-oh. Joy, that depends, but within the next 2 months or so, within the next 2 months, that colour's going to go, and then you see, if the mother looks at us, we'll show you her eyes, but she's got those beautiful, like golden brown eyes, really beautiful colours. And that will start coming through, but it's already starting to change. They're not as blue as they are when they're, when they're newborn, those bright blue little eyes. I wonder if that other male that they're playing with is enjoying it, or if he's just like, oh, get away from me now. Right, myself and Marcel are going to spend a little bit more time here and see what these little lions get up to.
So from lion cubs at Phinda all the way to Ngala, you'll have a look at this little one currently sitting down not too far away from us, but have a look at the sun just behind it. You can actually notice, like earlier on, Clive was describing about these golden brown or like a chestnut amber color, and have a look at the eyes of this youngster. You also notice a little bit of a white underneath the eye, and a little splash of white under the chin. It's just so quiet. And what we're hoping for is maybe with these youngsters eventually, because the others are getting up. Oh, this one just decided it's going to put its head down. How quickly did that youngster not disappear in the grass? But even notice, look here, there's other lions laying down, but you can just see the little patch of white, and then maybe above that you might even see the ear of these lions. So early on, as we mentioned, we just drove past you, we didn't even see anything, and it wasn't until one of them actually lifted their heads out of the grass we were able to spot them. How beautiful is that for a scene? Look at the clouds, the lions right over here. You might even notice there's quite a big tree off to the left of the road there. It's a knobthorn. It's one of the quite a lot of the bigger trees within this area are those trees. And then have a look at the colors of this one here. Now what I often love to do at a lion is, so instead of just looking at a lion, we should actually look to see what features we can describe of it. Because we'll be looking at things like maybe tears in the ears, we'll be looking at the pads, maybe even around the nose, see if there's any other scars. But if you look at this one here, he's still very tired, but also keeping that head up. You'll notice there's quite a bit of pink around the nose. Look at those whiskers, not as long as that of a leopard, quite small or a lot shorter. Notice very prominent white patch, and very tired. Even notice around the face, you'll see quite a few little scars. Now, remember we said there's often not a lot of table manners when it comes to lions feeding. I think we mentioned it a few times in the other drives. But even with these youngsters, whenever there's a kill, it's basically they fight for food. And sometimes they might lose an eye, they can get quite a few scratches, because as they are feeding, they might claw each other. And that's what you're seeing right there on the bridge of the nose. And this one, probably going to go look for a nice soft spot in the grass to go and lie down. but blend in so well. You'll see once this lion decides to lie down, look at how hard it is to see. And it's incredible, like that leopard you saw earlier, how well it blends in, especially up in the tree, or even when it moves in the grass. Also the lions, in summertime, sometimes when the grass is really green, they do stand out, but now this time of the year is when they really blend in so well. I'd also like to focus on the pads of this one that's closest to us and lying with its feet in the, like towards us. Now earlier this morning we had a question about how do we tell the difference. Oh, is that a bee on top of the, yeah, that's actually a bee that just landed on the pad there. But so often we try and look at the pads of the different individuals. Now when they're young, especially the front paws, I just wanted to show the back ones because they're quite clear. You can see you can see 3 pads in the front, or 3 of the little cushions and then at the back you'll see the 3 lobes. Now with the males, they tend to be a lot bigger in comparison to females. But when they're young, it's very hard to tell the difference. But as they get older, you can clearly see the difference between them. So sometimes tracking is such an important thing, because if you are tracking male lions, it might also determine how long you're going to be tracking for, because male lions tend to move a lot further than females. Where females in general, if they decide to move, they can move quite far in order to hunt, but not necessarily as far as a male that might go their whole territory in order to mark. And then sometimes it's nice to be able to find the female tracks, and then later on you find male tracks over the tracks. It means that a male is trailing the female, probably trying to catch up with the rest of the pride. So tracking is such an important skill to develop, because it allows you to put a picture together of where these animals are going, why they're going there, and where they're most likely going to be. Look at the size now difference between this young male here. Look at his front pad. And just to give you an idea how big that would be, is if you take your fist, so a normal person's fist, and you would stretch out your fist so that look, I think the best would probably be just to do a little illustration on it. So just to show you how big that might be. Now I actually have this little book here, just to show you what I mean. Now, if you look at the lion track that's right over here, so that's the one that we've been looking at now. You'll notice the 3 lobes at the back. 1, 2, 3. Notice the 4 pads in the front. Now with a male lion, it could be 12 centimeters. So if I go here, there's a little ruler on this side, just to show. So from here to there is 12 centimeters. So you can see it's quite far up. I mean, if I put my hand right next to it, it's more than half my hand. Now if you basically make a fist and you stretch out your hand like this, that's basically the size of a male lion's paw. So basically that whole size. So it's quite big. And talking about male lion, there's one that actually just picked up his head at the moment.
Thanks, Nikki. Well, we've caught up with Lion's favourite food. We're on the other side of the watching hole now. We found some leopard tracks, which we turned around to maybe come and follow up on, because the Ellies we were with earlier, when they got around the Buffelshoek watching hole, they got a bit frightened by something, and I didn't really think too much about it. And on our way back, we heard the exactly like that. My buffalo mimicking is great. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the kind words. And so we thought we'd just come down to the watching hole, and maybe I'll allow you another little moment to just take in this wondrous scene. comes the hyena. This is probably what caused all the nonsense earlier. Who are you? Or maybe there is a leopard, and this fellow is going to help us find it. So right about where this hyena is now, the elephants reacted when we were on the other side. We didn't think too much about it. It's possible that there is a leopard on a kill, and that is what the hyena is smelling. It's a male leopard track. And I wonder if any of you can send us any IDs of this fellow, and we're going to see if we can follow up.
Beautiful is this male just deciding to move into that little patch of sunlight there. You'll notice as he's licking his lips, it looks like the front right upper tooth is half of it is chipped away. So let's just see if he picks up his head again. So early on he was yawning. I'd like to see if we can see that again. Now it does look like one of the cubs are actually moving into the open as well. So and if we move slightly off to the right, just getting a big hug there. The other one is coming in to join. How incredible is watching the sun, especially on these youngsters and the rest of the pride. That beautiful, remember earlier we said it, imagine that golden color and having them backlit to where we are now. Now from here on, I just want to go back to this male. You'll see this male and the female just off to the left. Something's definitely grabbed their attention. And I don't know, maybe if there's a wildebeest or a zebra, or possibly even a giraffe. Look at how intently they are staring in that direction. Sometimes when you do look at a lion's face, it tells you all these stories. Imagine with this male in particular, with all those scars, how many fights has he been in? How many times has he had to push other lions out of the area? And even look at the difference in size. I mean, compare him against the female that's right next to him. I mean, that's a big female. And you'll notice that even her whole mouth, her head is a considerable amount smaller. I mean, a male lion like this could weigh almost 100 kilograms, or anywhere from 80 to 100 kilograms more than a female. So nearly 200 pounds more. So that's just a lot more. Like how, or just if you compare the size, it's a lot bigger than some of the females you get here. And even though there would be male lions that are bigger than this particular one that we're looking at now. But I do enjoy this mane. You can see this one has quite a light colored mane, and then once you move almost like to the very top of his head, you'll notice there's a bit more black. But something's definitely caught his attention. Picking up his head, lifting up his nose just to test the air. Really majestic animals.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be back on a sit. We are still on Djuma Private Game Reserve, where in front we also have got some special, which is just move on. My name is Raymond, together with a big K on my cameraman. So I just want to reposition a little bit for those animals. It is a little bit more interesting, especially on this side of a sunset. Okay. I can see the marvelous sunset as well right over here. No matter the zebra, they did run off. We don't have any chance to find them. They went through to the bushes. But as they are company together with the wild beast, it's called gnu. Oh, I saw one also running far. So, wild beast, it's an Afrikaans name. It's coming from wildebeest. Wildebeest means wild cow. They are browsers. They're grazing. They are only eating grass together with the zebras. So they are also together with the impala. Sometimes you can find them sharing life together. The zebras are very good on eyesighting, and wild beasts very good on smelling, while impala good on speed running. So if you look very carefully, there is two birds right over there. There is a fork-tailed dronga and a lilac-breasted roller. I like this lilac-breasted roller very much. In Afrikaans, it's called a trokan, that means a wedding ring. Whatever way they are, you see they fly off. They're going to catch something to eat. As those animals, they are head on the ground, they're pulling the crickets or locusts, whatever, and insects that they are interested to eat. So they go for it. It is a very good for them, very good eyesighting. They are on a good hunting together with those animals. They're helping them to catch something. Mostly fork-tailed dronga, it's always together with evenly for the buffalo. Sometimes evenly for the elephant, for all those big animals. They go for it in order to get something to eat. Look how beautiful the sky is. The cameraman, Big A, was showing us how nice of the landscape and the atmosphere as the sun goes down. Look at the tree. Look at the structure of the cloud on the air. The sky getting more beauty. Especially when the sun set and the sunrise. I do like wildebeest, with the reason of, as they are poor eyesighting, some other people, they say, oh, this animal is stupid. Some other people, they said, are stupid, but I said it's clever. So we're going to see if we can manage to get the hyena. Want to try to see the hyena.
awesome. This big elephant bull was just reaching up now at this knobthorn tree above it, and that's very, very high. It's about 5 meters. It's very, very, very able to. It's amazing. I'm hoping that it'll do it again, because it was very awesome. Up, he actually legs. He back onto his back legs and had only one of his front legs up. Oh, and here comes our friend Ivar, the one elephant with the short leg. It's very cool. He's going to come and join his friend. Elephant. He's got a bit of a limp. Oh, now exactly when I say that he stops, but it's very interesting. This one elephant, he's got his back right leg is actually shorter than the other leg. It's shorter by about 6 inches. Super weird. And he takes it. It's straight like that. It's almost like he's got a peg leg. It doesn't seem to affect his ability to move around, and well, obviously he moves a bit slower, but he seems to be doing just fine. He feeds and he plays and he drinks and he does all the things I do. He's just got a very, very odd hip and short leg thing going on. I don't know if it was a birth defect, maybe. Maybe he was born with a defect. I don't know, actually. I think it must have happened when he was quite young, because being born with that sort of disability would have been very hard for it to keep up with the herd when it was moving. Ooh, I don't know if you can hear that behind us. Listen. There is an impala alarm calling. Oh, well, it appears we've got a little bit of freeze frame, so what we're going to do while we look up this alarm calling, we'll send you over to the Kalahari.
I'm absolutely loving Sheldon doing what he does best. Look at that. So he's foraging now along the bottom. Remember, that water is not very deep. I actually walked in there a little while back and to see how cold the water was and compared to what the ducks are feeling. And I can promise you the water is cold. But so he's just upending like that, feeding. So he's got different feeding strategies. They can feed like this in the water, upending like that. But then they also dabble as well. And he was doing that earlier along the opposite bank to us, where he just, like a normal duck, goes like along the edge of the water, moving his bill up and down, up and down, up and down. But when he's doing this, he's probably getting little invertebrates and things in the mud, I would guess. And then the other feeding strategy that we've mentioned briefly is the fact that they'll actually feed on land. So they'll actually graze on short grass, anything like that. And there's obviously not much of that around at the moment out in these areas. So I think the feeding at the dam is probably very, very, very important for their survival at the moment. And if you look at Shelly, the female, she'll be coming back down to the dam intermittently while she's incubating, because obviously she can't just sit and incubate the eggs the whole time without feeding. Joy has just asked, how is a shell duck different to a regular duck? To the best of my knowledge, and I will check it up for you, they are normal ducks. The name is interesting. We've actually looked up the name, tried to find the name, the origin of the name, but it doesn't seem to have, because it's not a S-H-E-L-L duck. It's just a single L. So it's quite an interesting one there. But I will come back to you tomorrow with a confirmed answer. So I'm actually looking it up as we're speaking, and I cannot make any obvious link to why they would be called a shell duck as opposed to, and the fact, even if you look at things like Egyptian geese, they're also ducks. That's called an Egyptian goose, but they're actually duck. The only true goose we got in South Africa is a pygmy goose. And these shell ducks are interesting. What really baffles me about these little guys, and not so little, in fact, they get to 1.2, 1.3 kilograms, so it's quite a large, as far as ducks go, it's quite a large, chunky one. But of the water bodies, a bit of research that was done on them, and there isn't actually that much, of 15 different species of duck at water bodies in South Africa. These ones are the second most common, or they were the second most commonly encountered ducks in terms of observations and numbers after Egyptian geese, which is pretty incredible if you think about it, that how can we know relatively little about its breeding and that, and it's such a common bird. That, I mean, really defies imagination. But also the fun side of that, it just shows how valuable citizen science is. I'm not a scientist, but people just going out and you're actually just observing, looking at things, making notes and recording it is absolute gold for the greater scientific community.
What perfect timing. Look at you. Settled down and started suckling from the mother. What a beautiful sight. So at this stage, they've already been walking around and moving around with the mother for probably over a month already. So at this stage, they'll be eating meat and they will still as well. And this will still go on with them suckling. Sometimes even a bit longer. But this is just so special to see. You might see afterwards, depending on how long they drink for, sometimes these cubs just drink so much that they eventually just fall asleep right there. Like, just dead from a full belly. And that little young male that they were playing with just now has been getting quite a beating from the Prums want to go and play with too old and a bit too big, and you might end up hurting my cubs.
So earlier on, Clive mentioned with the mother was moving them away to suckle. Now these two little ones wanted to suckle, but as soon as they got to mom, she just moved up and moved further away. And I wonder maybe if she's just trying to move to a nice spot before she starts suckling them. But just in the meantime, while we're waiting to see what's happening there, you'll see one of the other males has just gotten up now. But you'll notice his mane is a lot lighter in color in comparison to the one that we just saw now. Now what we might see often with male lions is something called a phlegm grin. So sometimes if a female urinates, the male would basically go and see if she's almost like ready to mate or not. So it's almost like what they'll do is they'll smell the urine. Let's see if he picks up his head. He'll wrinkle his nose and he'll pull up his lip and he'll lift his head quite high. It's called a phlegm grin. So have a look at that. So basically what he is doing, so just on the top from his nose, like towards his eyes, there's an organ called the organ of Jacobin, or the Jacobin's organ. And so as he's pulling the scent through his nose, it goes over this organ and it basically tells him, like, if the female is ready to mate, is she not, and he can get quite a lot of information out of that. And it has a lot to do with smell. You'll notice, look at his teeth. It looks like the one top left tooth is missing. So the other one had a chipped right tooth, and this one's left tooth, the left top canine or that particular long tooth that we saw there is missing completely. So, Leopard Lady, with that young white lioness, so at the moment she's not joined up with the Pride. There are reports from one of our other presenters, Tristan, that says that he has spotted her on a property not too far away from here called Avoca. Now, with that, it might mean that when this Pride particularly call, it could be a chance that they could eventually meet up again, but we're not too sure. As it stands, we can see she's not here. It might be, for that lioness that was spotted, is probably the one from this Pride. But there's quite a bit of a distance between where that young female could possibly be and where the rest of the Pride is here. So, as it stands, there's nothing here, but hopefully, I mean, if these lions, so you see where the sun is setting behind them. So the last time she was seen with them was in that direction, so in a westerly direction, right in that particular area. Now, if they decide to carry on, because that's their general movement towards that area, and they start calling, there is a chance. I mean, it's never a guarantee with lions, but there is a chance that they could eventually join up. It all depends. I mean, it depends if she's able to survive during the cold nights, maybe, if she doesn't encounter any other Pride, if there's not a lot of hyenas around. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that are possibly against her. And also because of the fact that she's also a white lion makes her stand out quite a bit, especially in comparison to most of these other ones. So look at the color of this one in comparison to that white lion that we've seen earlier, that young male. So I think for us the best thing we can do now is just hope that there is a chance that they could eventually link up. But as I said, there's absolutely no guarantee that that could possibly happen. But I mean, look at the color. So that young female is basically the same color as this male. And if you compare those again as one another, it means she does stand out quite a bit. But like before we can say anything, I think what we'll have to do from here is just give it time and see what happens from here. I mean, for all of us, we're sitting in the dark, not too certain of where exactly or how far or what the Pride is going to be doing from here, but we can only hope for the best. Ignacio, with this particular Pride, it ranges could be anywhere from 2 lions all the way up to 4 or 5. You do get the odd occasion where it might be more, you do get an occasion where it might only be 1. But what I quickly want to do from here, I just want to reposition the vehicle. All I'm going to do is just basically move back a bit and just pull my left hand down, just so that we can see these lions, because they've basically moved right in front of the vehicle. Do just position like this so we can have that beautiful sunset as well as these lions. Okay, so as I reposition here, there we go. I think it should be a little bit better, but normally, yeah, with lions they could be anywhere from 2 to 4 would be the average litter size that they can have. But lions in general, especially the youngsters, have a very low survival rate, because statistics, or they estimate that probably 80% of all lion cubs born in the wild won't make it. Only 20% of them would make it to adulthood, or if I had to be more precise, 80% of them don't make it to the age of 2 years. And so it's really hard for lion cubs in order to get to this age. But you know, at least when they get to that age, they've done really well, and the chances are then probably they'll survive until eventually they'll die from an injury or old age. You can just see the face of the one youngster. I'm not too sure if it's nibbling one of the siblings or possibly even like bite its tail. Now, Hannah, with the lion cubs, I mean, there's a variety of different possible dangers. I do know hyenas are could be quite a big danger, especially every time the mom has to leave the young cubs in order to go and hunt, especially when they get to the age before they're introduced to the pride. Baboons could also be a danger. Leopard, other lions, male lions are probably going to be the #1 killer, because whenever a new male comes into an area, he'll kill all the cubs within that pride, so that the females can go into heat again and he can mate with them. Other possibilities are also something like a python. If there's any big python in an area and they do find lion cubs that are in quite a dense area, they could also go for them. I mean, near the water, in some areas in Botswana, it's often, especially the marsh areas where there's a lot of water, then crocodiles could also be a potential danger.
Welcome back on to Djuma, everybody. We weren't able to follow up on that hyena and didn't find any other activity, but we've stopped to get ready for a wonderful sunset. It's going to be a few moments still until it is at its absolute perfect coloration. But we're just going to sit and enjoy it for a little while. Take some deep breaths. I can hear a car coming, so I do apologize about any noise that might enter the frame. Wonderful cloud on top there. Really, really picturesque. It's been burning off quite a bit. We thought it was going to be the most sensational sunset with, oh, that's nice, with that cloud. But if you all want to just sit down, sit back, relax. Sounds like the car might have turned down another road, so I'm now going to allow you all to have a few moments of silence. Cindy says, beautiful Africa indeed, Cindy. Yeah, the drumming of the bearded woodpecker. Stuck in bed is feeling really blessed. Well, so am I, everybody. Really, really blessed to be able to share sunrises and sunsets with all of you.
Yeah, I can't agree more. We are very, 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 very lucky to be in Africa with these sunrises and sunsets, and it's going to be another beautiful one out here. We're just watching all these doves coming in, and these are pretty much 99% of these are Cape turtle doves. But what happened about 10 minutes ago, it was quite interesting. There was a whole stack of them sitting in the trees and not coming down to the water. And that normally signifies the presence of some kind of predator. And with these guys, their primary predators, apart from, you can get things like African wildcats stalking them at the water, jackals occasionally as well. But their primary predator out here is going to be aerial predators. And around this particular pan, there's a pair of gabar goshawks, one of which is a melanistic one. And they've been here for years. Every year they nest very, very close by here. And, they are superb birds of prey in terms of catching doves and these little other passerines. So I think there may be something going on around this area. The doves seem to have settled a little bit, but also that's what these raptors do. These raptors are, they don't just fly around hoping to catch something. They can sit for long, long, long periods, dead still. And especially your accipiters, these small goshawks and that, they'll sit inside the canopy of a tree. And so the birds may see it go in, and then eventually they'll lose interest because the thing sits dead still, and they're kind of like, all right, no threat there. And they go down, drink, and then the next lot that comes in has no idea that this bird of prey is sitting there. So I'm hoping, and I mean, the chance will be incredibly tiny, but you never know if you get a hunt or a chase from a bird of prey taking place around the dam over here. But it is also just beautiful sitting and watching these doves just coming and going here. And Darby's really enjoying it, but such a pity, that Jandre's not here, because Jandre would have loved to sit and watch these doves like this. It was one of his favourite things to do out here at Tswalu. And I hope he's out there watching us somewhere. Yes, but that light on them is great, eh? You get this beautiful reflected light off the water, and it just throws them into sharp relief. Darwin and I were chatting just now. It was crazy how we got here, and there was like this flurry of animal activity. There was giraffe. At one stage, there was giraffe, springbuck, kudu, wildebeest, sable came down, and then it's just like they all filtered off into the bush, and it became like dead quiet, just this like lone tumbleweed blowing past in the breeze.
Thanks, Dylan. Well, you can't have them all, I suppose. It's been quite a productive day in and around the watering holes. And now we found, looks like two giraffe, three. Looked like two initially, and now definitely a third. There might even be a fourth. But we've stayed in the same place with the sun setting in the distance, and such a glorious scene unfolding. This is Africa, everybody. This is the wilderness. Drakensberg Mountains in the distance. Very, very picturesque. So I wouldn't mind if any of you out there would like to send through a one-word tweet about how moments like this make you feel. It's nice to hear them. Nice to hear how people are enjoying them. We don't just do it for ourselves. We do thoroughly enjoy this, but this is for you, everybody. You, our wonderful audience. We thoroughly enjoy bringing you these scenes. You might have noticed I tend to stop very often for moments like this, and as a guide in the industry, it was something very special to just get your guests off the vehicle, and if things were beautiful, you could sit them down somewhere quietly, say, you sit over there, you sit over there, you sit over there, and just enjoy. People have a tendency to want to chat, to be polite, but sometimes when you tell them just to be quiet, then it's quite nice for everybody to just be quiet and absorb it all. Lions ate my mum. I still love that name that you have there. You want to know if these giraffe will be a family group. Okay, so if we go a little bit closer in, we'll notice the one on the left is a female, and the one sort of below is a youngish male, and then the other one I think was a male. So you don't really get family groups. Giraffes are what we call associations. So they come and go. The males and females sort of have no real strong tie with each other. Oh, that's another female. So there's a strong tie. Oh, and there's another baby just on the left of the screen. Just its ears flicking in the camouflage. Oh, no, that was a bird. Forgive me. Forgive me there. And so you'll find males coming and going and females being together sometimes, and the female with their offspring. So it's a little family group for sure. Mother with a youngster, maybe a friend, cousin. They move around in these groups to keep themselves safe, but there's no real strong bond between them.
We were following this leopard since yesterday when we got a brief glimpse of him in our camp, and we've slowly followed him all the way to this. Oh, you can hear him crunching bones. It's amazing. I know it's a challenging view, but we don't want to get too much closer because he was watching us as we approached. So he's definitely, you see, he's watching us. He's definitely a little saw with. Quite close. We're only about 20 meters away, and he's busy feeding, and he's not too worried. That's really great. So if we say, take one, you can hear lions calling as well. This is tense. This is amazing. So you can see see this. I think what it's got is a duiker. We've seen duikers around this area, and this leopard has obviously done very well and dark and cloudy. And a lot of different very active. In fact, we are not.
Yes, I believe that we're still in Djuma Natural Reserve. You did enjoy a lot about the lions and buffaloes and leopard and over here. So now right over here, where am I? I'm on top of a termite mound. The termite mound, which is started on a level area where they can manage to build or to farm their food. If you look very carefully right over here, there are some roots. Those roots, it's for this tree, which is so-called a boabin tree. The boabin, together with the jackalberry, are those one mostly they are growing, or the termite to go through to them in order to build their house, in order to farm their food. So those roots are protecting as well as the termite through to the aardvark. The aardvark is those one who mostly win through to the termite, because they can manage to dig until they reach the area where they are. So those roots, sometimes they do disturb the aardvark when it's digging. Find another route and trying to get another area, find another route and get to another area, find another route. That makes him to give up and off he go. So the termite surviving. That's why most of the time when you look around or you're driving through to the bush, especially here in Sabi Sand, the termite which are still active are only the termite which have got the boabin or the jackalberry, because they have got lots of roots like this. All those roots, it's sort of like a net inside over there and disturb that aardvark when it's digging. So you need to get someone, some other termite which is plain without any big trees. It is an opportunity for them to win until they reach inside. The termite, as they are divided into 3 species, they have got a king and a queen, which their work is only to make another termite. They also have got the workers, which they're bringing there's particles of grasses, of the woods or whatever, in order to make the fungus that manage to eat. Termite are the second highest protein here in Africa, which is very nice, creamy, crunchy when you eat. And does it need that much? Just a little bit oil and the salt, and then you fry on a pan, you cook it. It's how you cook it. The recipe, it's easy. So the first highest protein, it is mopane worm. Have you ever tasted mopane worm? If you never taste the mopane worm, come here in South Africa. You will get those one evenly in supermarket. It is very, very, very nice, delicious. Those mopane worms, they call it mopane worms because we find them mostly in mopane trees. As we find them mostly on mopane trees, they're becoming sort of mopane worms. They're only eating leaves. You get those mopane worms during springtime. It's where you can manage to get this one. But the termite, we don't have exactly a season, but it's only in summer. Whatever wet, we receive lots of rain. So those babies, you need to get a bucket, you collect all of them, you put in a bucket. If you put in a bucket with water, they are dying. So they are very, very, very delicious. As from now, you can see how high it is. Some of them, they don't have a chance to grow up until over here. Okay.
This huge giraffe bull has just moved out, and he's standing directly behind the shelduck, old Sheldon there. So I think this bull will move down and come drink just now. Davy and I were having a good chat now, saying, it's funny how you go through these periods in the bush where you think it's quiet. Okay, so remember I was saying when we got you, there was a whole lot of game around. Or after we got you, the animals started arriving, then they moved off, and then it was quiet. And I guess this is kind of like a bit of a philosophical question there. It's like, well, what is quiet in the bush? Even if there's, at first glance, you say, well, there's nothing to be seen. Well, what is that? And what is your definition of nothing to be seen? These mountains, all the vegetation, the ripples in the water, the reflections, the color of the sky, there's an insane amount, a never-ending amount of things that you can actually talk about. Or you could just talk like me, just talk complete garbage, but and just make it up as you go. No, but it is interesting. On a serious note, it's there's not a single point where you can be sitting in the outdoors, and actually even if it is in your garden at home, where you can be sitting in the outdoors and say there is nothing to see, because sorry, that does not exist. There's always something fantastic. There's always something interesting. There's always some little aspect of behavior, and sometimes you just got to look at it in a different way. Whether you're looking at termites or looking at a hole in the ground, or the design of a leaf or a thorn or a spine on a tree, And that's one thing that I really, really, really love about the outdoors. You can never, ever, ever, ever find a single moment where there's not something interesting to look at, talk about, see, learn about. And I think this whole, for me personally, like these WildEarth safaris have just been such a wonderful way of being able to engage with people at all different levels, from kids to adults to, it's really, really, really special being able to share these kind of moments with you. That giraffe is very, very aware that we are here. And that's the other thing. It sounds funny, we were talking about identifying individual meerkats earlier this morning. I don't recognize this particular individual giraffe, and the only reason I'm saying that he is a big bull. And we've had a number of bulls drinking here over the past couple of weeks, and a lot of them come in and they're completely relaxed. They take one look at you and then forget about it and they go drink. This guy's come in and he's like, what is that odd thing behind those branches? He could just be looking at Davy, of course, in which case he'd be right. Maybe it's just because Davy, and unfortunately we can't show it on TV, but Davy is actually wearing a giraffe onesie, which is really weird, I thought, but, these things happen. Oh, look at the duck. He's now sitting in front of the giraffe, and he's upending again. I do like ducks. Peking duck, shell duck, Donald duck. Okay, you see that giraffe? That giraffe now knows that, I can tell you now there's something approaching. We cannot see it. There's nothing that we can see now. But that giraffe, you could see immediately from his behavior there. He immediately looked to his left. So something drew his attention. We don't know what. It could be anything. But something definitely drew his attention out to the left-hand side there. And there's some oryx actually over to the right-hand side. Actually, I'm getting my left and right confused. Just ignore that all completely. Just look where the giraffe's looking, all right? So there's two oryx there. They've just moved down. They may or may not drink, I'm not sure. I love this time of day. It's that sense of expectation. What could be arriving at the waterhole? And these reflections are just getting better and better. I'm so glad this wind has dropped. It's been blowing the whole day, but it's really settling nicely now. So we will keep you posted if anything further pops out at the water.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
We've just gone into IR mode, infrared mode, because we are losing quite a bit of light, and it's really hard to see these lines, especially lying down in the grass here. But what you might notice is a lot of the black from the ears standing out quite a bit. James, what we've noticed over the last little while, especially with wintertime, is that they have been moving quite a lot more. So during the summertime, they were moving, the territory roundabout has been the same. But just normally during the wintertime, we've noticed that their movements, that they travel, especially during the night, is a lot further, the distances in comparison to that of the summer. But the territory, more or less, still the same. There hasn't been any great changes within their general movements. We have noticed, though, that they have been pushing a little bit more towards the northern side of the reserve. However, when they do move back south, is exactly the same area where they will normally turn around and start heading back. All of them are slowly creeping up into the grass, but you'll just notice this young male here. He is just out cold. He is so tired. And the thing is, they have been around here for the last 2 days, so I'm sure he's well rested. He's just conserving that last little bit. And if he doesn't have to get up or burn any energy, he won't do that until it's time for them to move. But what I think what will happen from here is this pride. If they do decide to move, they're only going to move in a northerly direction or west. It all depends on which direction the wind's going to come from. But if they do need to move, they'll probably be in the direction. They already had water, they had something to eat, so from here on they'll probably start looking out possibly for another meal.
Thanks everybody, welcome back to a hyena on the move. I think it's the same hyena we saw the dam earlier. It's been smelling and tracking something. We followed it for a little bit and then we drove in some, well, smelled like we drove in some poo. Goes behind the bush. We're just going to turn behind the bush here. Oh, you got it actually. How's that going to work for you? Let's move Thea. Right on Cheetah Cut Line, Bex, actually. This is, we're on the fire break with Torchwood, so we can't actually go in there after the hyena, but it's walking on the fire break road. So we're on Cheetah Cut Line, and the hyena's walking parallel towards Chitwa at the moment, just south of Leadwood Road on Cheetah Cut Line. And this hyena is on a mission. It has been tracking a leopard, I believe, all the way from Buffelshoek. Any IDs on it? I'm pretty sure it's the same one we saw earlier. Obviously we can't go in there after it, but we can just poke our nose off-road slightly just to get a view as it walks into this gap again. We might just be going for a drink, all we know. But why go all the way from Buffelshoek watering hole to Chitwa for a drink? I suppose. Oh, that Zoom is doing its funny thing again, everybody. Sorry about that. But I suppose some of us do it too. It's called a pub crawl, isn't it? A pub crawl? South Africans don't know what that is anymore. I'm almost sure I should know who this hyena is with those stripes on the side. It's not a female that I know, but it's one of the males. So I'm almost sure. Michael Fleetwood says this is heart. Michael Fleetwood, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the ear. Heart's got that it looks like she might have that funny ear. Haven't had a proper frontal from her yet. We've just been tracking her for some time. Doesn't have Heart's ear, Michael. Doesn't have either of the chunks out of... Heart's got a bite out of one of her ears, like a perfect little V in the top. But I do stand to be corrected. I do not admit to being an expert at these things, and I know Michael often gets these things spot on. Let's try again, shall we, Theo? Get around in the front. And at the rate this hyena is going, we're going to be on Chitwe in a couple of minutes, so we'll be able to follow it there. And we're going to get off into the front of this hyena, and maybe it's going to lead us to a leopard.
Yeah, this giraffe is definitely not a bull that I recognize. He's very aware of us. He's not nervous, he's not running off or anything. But he's certainly aware that there's something here that he's not entirely enchanted with. Of course, it could always be that case of he's watching something bigger and more scary behind us that we don't know about. But yeah. Oh, there's actually a sable approaching from behind the giraffe. He's actually going to that mineral lick. Remember, we've spoken about mineral licks before. This area is deficient in certain minerals, key elements. Copper being one of them, potassium being another one, sodium being another one. And when you talk about sodium, there's an interesting thing. We've got a really cool research project that's been ongoing, looking at, because sodium is obviously quite important for animals, and there's a very distinct gradient, as one would expect, from your coastal areas. So a place like Phinda would have a high sodium level content in the vegetation and soils, and then as you move further and further inland, that sodium content will drop. So when you get large reserves like this, where the animals are in one area, then we actually supplement that by putting out these mineral licks. And we always put them out at the dams. And the reason for that is quite important. Is number one, it's easier for the animals to find them. But secondly, you get a Londeka says it looks like the giraffe is modeling. Londeka, you're right, the giraffe definitely looks like he was modeling her. He's so vain, he probably thinks this safari's about him. Okay, that was very weak. But back to more serious notes. So the reason we put these mineral licks out near the dams is you get what we call a biosphere developing around a water point, and that is essentially, in a nutshell, very, very basically, it's your area of impact of animals around a water point. So you're going to have an area of impact around the water point, so rather put your mineral licks there, so it's easy for the animals to find, and secondly, it's on an already disturbed area. Yes, but I love this time of day. It is just the best, though. I'm always torn. Is it early mornings or late afternoons that are better? I like both. Yep. And I'll shell, and he's still dabbling his way around the dam. Got a lot of dove activity still, although that's going to start tapering off now, the doves, just because the light levels are dropping rapidly now, and the temperatures. So they want to go, they're going to come in for last minute bit of feeding, and then they're going to move off. A bird that I'm really trying to show you, coming down to the water, and it's just, Jandra and I missed it like literally by 2-3 minutes every single time we sat here, are double-banded sandgrouse. They only drink after sunset and before sunrise. So normally by the time we finish our safari, sunset, but they're just starting to come in. So maybe we're lucky one day.
Thanks, Dylan. We had some double bandeds in the road a little while ago. And this is our hyena again. I'm almost certain it's not heart, everybody. There's no nick in the ear. Heart's got a very prominent nick. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the nick. How I missed that with my binoculars a moment ago is beyond me. But thank you, Michael. It is heart. The females of the Djuma clan are quite easy to identify with the ears. But the rest of them aren't that easy. This is Gary Main. That was Tortured. And Heart is on her way to smell something. We don't know what she's been smelling, but we definitely drove over, or very nearly close to, a very fresh and smelly leopard scat. Might have been lion. I really don't know the difference between the two of them with regards to smell. We didn't find it because we decided to keep following the hyena, who is now gone. So everybody, I'm going to go back to exactly where I had that smell of the poo. I know it sounds quite gross for all of you, but very likely that we might be able to pick up on some sign of a beautiful female leopard, perhaps. Last minute leopard is a real thing. It is a real thing. Let's go back up and on to Central it was, and that's an area Tundi loves to go through. And when I say it smelt, it was overwhelming. Looks like hyenas just want to say how's it to us today. Here's another one. Hello. We got it over here in the shadow of the guarri bush. There we go. I wonder if this one knows there's another one on its way. Hello, you. They're doing that focus thing again. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Who are you? Looks like a youngster. No? How is it possible that hyena we saw a moment ago got out there? It's not possible. It's a different hyena. But it's got a similar nick in the ear. Gosh, everybody. I don't know sometimes. Alex, it's not easy. Females are, for the most part, bigger than males. But unless you see them together, you can't really tell the difference. But the best way is mammary glands, suckle marks, and the problem is that both there, that one's got suckle marks there, mammary glands. Both male and female hyena have got a pseudopenis, or the female's got a pseudopenis in the form of a clitoris that resembles a penis. It's a very, very interesting dynamic in hyenas. I think Theo's chuckling on the back here at the words I've just said. It's very technical, everybody. It's very real. Female hyenas actually have got an inverted external sort of penis-like object that looks very much like that of the males, and very hard to tell who is who in the zoo. But females are quite often bigger. It's not always the case, but most of the time the testosterone given in through birth is bigger in females, and the way they behave, they're normally more dominant over the males. But it does take practice. I couldn't, if I saw a young hyena, tell you male or female straight off the bat. It's not very easy. But when they're together, you can often see quite a noticeable, sorry about the back of the vehicle, quite a noticeable size difference. Okay. So we're going to move off as our hyena goes behind the car and makes life very difficult for Theo. Very, very difficult. The back of the vehicle, that's actually the aerial that was getting in there. Can you believe it? And we're going to head back up Cheetah Katla and see and pick up on whoever it is that made that very smelly poo.
We've just been sitting here just to see what the Pride is up to. Now, early on, the female decided to, with the young cubs, decided to move up into a termite mound. And as soon as she started moving, that Ross male just off to the right of the screen just picked up his head. We just want to see if that youngsters are still there. Oh, there we go. I think right at the very top, you can see the mom lying down with the two youngsters just behind her. And I wonder if she's using that as a bit of a vantage point just to scan. Remember earlier we said there was something that was moving there and all the other lions picked up their heads. Now, with the wind coming from that side towards her, she might just be using that as a vantage point, but also just testing the air now and again to see if there's anything around. They might also just be listening. Sometimes with the area that we're in now, it's quite dense, but there are these little open patches where you could find things like wildebeest, maybe impala, zebra could settle in for the night. And that's what they could be listening out for. It's just so quiet at the moment. There's just now and again you might hear the distant sound of a fork-tailed drongo, but everything has gone really, really quiet. Anushka, it all depends on the particular pride. If there's a lot of individuals, so let's say with this pride here, at a stage there will be so many members within this pride that when they do make a kill on something, that not all the individuals are going to have something to eat. So let's say now if they had to make a kill on even 2 impalas, some of them might not even get as much as a little bite from whatever might be there, unless it's something big like a buffalo, or maybe even something bigger like a little elephant. The chances are very likely that it's going to be able to feed the whole pride. Once it gets to that stage, some members of the pride will break away so that there's less individuals to feed so that they can get more food, and so therefore they'll be able to survive. But and sometimes, especially in Botswana, there's a place called Savuti where there's a pride of lions that will gather during the winter time of the year in order to hunt elephants. They specialize in hunting young elephants. But sometimes that pride will then break away and only occasionally will start joining up again whenever they need to take down something bigger. But in this case, where we are currently situated, is what we find with these prides, as soon as they get there's too many of them, and whenever they do hunt, that there's a lot of pressure on the individuals because they're not getting enough, then they'll start moving away. We have these few individuals that would break away from the pride. Angie, when the youngsters get to a certain age, so it all varies. It could be anywhere from 8 months, 9 months, all the way up to a year and a half. Once they get to that stage, they'll start joining the hunts. And you'll see with the first couple of hunts they join, they get so enthusiastic about the hunt that they eventually spoil it because they'll start running out of cover and then give that particular animal fright. What I have noticed as well with some of the individuals or some lion prides in the area is that sometimes when those youngsters get to a certain age, they'll move almost into an open area, distract whatever prey is there, and while they do that, the females will move around and then hunt from there. But normally the young males, when they get kicked out, they become very nomadic, so they basically just move from one area to another, and for most of the time they'll chase leopards off their kill. They'll scavenge as much as they can possibly do in order to get food. But then as they do this, they will try attempt and fail during their hunts, and they learn how to hunt using denser covers, especially the males with quite a bit of a mane. You'll find the females tend to hunt more in the open. It's not always the case. They could hunt more in a closed area as well, but sometimes with males, what you find is they are more successful and they tend to hunt more when they do move towards a denser area and use it from there. During my time at andBeyond Phinda, I remember a lot of the males, whenever they hunted, used to hunt in really dense areas, and the females in the more open areas. And I mean, it's different from every area. It will vary depending on the pride or the individuals that are there. Butterfly, with a pride like this, whenever the males are not with the pride, and even let's say the young male would be here, you'll find that the lionesses tend to hunt more than the males. However, the males are also very successful hunters, and I know there was always a lot of debate about which one is more successful, but it's also proven that males, even when they are by themselves, are very successful hunters. But if need be, both males and females, if they do cooperate, they'll be able to take down quite a large or larger prey than normal. So they do work together, especially if the Ross males are with this pride, they will work together in order to do so. And these lions, it's just such an interesting story. What's going to happen with them from here? Where are they going to move? Are they going to decide to move into the wind? Are they going to go west? We're not too sure, because their movements have been very... they've been moving quite a bit over the last little while, and it all was driven by food, not so much by water, but they've been traveling quite a bit, and eventually they'll end up close to water because they know some animals might come to drink, especially in the heat of the day. But what a beautiful day. Like, across all the different places, we've been able to see so much, and I know some of the guys have shared really interesting information. But for now, we just want to say thank you to all our viewers for watching, and hopefully tomorrow morning we can continue our drives.